JB Cycles with update on November 26th. So today I'm going to look at some macro, the Fed rate, CPI, unemployment. So the context here is my 3.5 year cycle. As we see, we are rather close to the average cycle low. But if we look back at some previous cycles, 2015, the low was still a couple of months ahead. In 2002 to 2003 there was also a late low, and in 74 we had a late low, and a couple of cycles were almost inverted, like the 80s and back in the 50s. So the market oscillation is not always in perfect sync with the cycle. So I see two scenarios here. The typical, we could go up or we could go down. So if the cycle has ended, we rally, and we could rally for a couple of years into the next cycle high. Or we do need first the capitulation. So what can we find in some macro data? What happens after a top in the CPI? As we see, the CPI year over year has topped, and looking back, we topped out in the 50s and we rallied. A top and we rallied. We had a small top here and we rallied. We had a top in 70 and we rallied. We had a top in the CPI in 74, 75 and we rallied. Here, this around 1980 is very complicated. We will see that later, but anyway, here actually the top, well, CPI topped out and the market topped out a bit later, and then we went into a bear market. Here we have a small top, we rallied, a top, we rallied. It's hard to see the exact tops here, but yeah, some kind of a top here, and we rallied. Another exception, 2001-2, we had CPI dropping and the market was dropping. I guess we have a top here in 2006, we rallied. We had a top in 2008, and well, we made a low a bit later, but then we rallied, and here we have a top, we rallied. These tops, they are so low. Yeah. Anyway, you see the pattern. Normally when the CPI tops out, we rally. That's where we are now. Let's just have a quick look. Russia, as oil producer, looks like it dropped after the breakup of the Soviet Union, but then we shut up, and Russia has been a big oil producer and exporter. And here is natural gas, the same pattern, shoots up and has been a big exporter of natural gas. And we should also remember how China has affected producing things cheap for the whole world has put pressure on the CPI, keep holding it down. Anyway, what happens after the Fed pivots? The rate hikes reverses into lowering rates. Well, as we see, the pivot was about at the market low in 58, is it? We rallied. Pivot, we rally. Pivot, rally. Pivot, rally. Pivot, rally. And this now around 1980s, so it's just a mess. The Fed rate up and down, and yeah. Anyway, we have a top, we rally. Here's, well, kind of an exception. We have a pivot, and then the market rolls over. these tops, are they really tops? You know, okay, we topped out, rallied. Here we didn't top out, but we dropped. We rallied. But almost like I don't know. Here we topped out and the market rolled over. Topped out and the market rolled over. Here we Fed pivots, and actually we rallied a bit first and then we dropped, so I don't know, it's a bit unclear. But you kind of see a pattern here. If you remove these, back here Fed pivots and we rally, and then Fed pivots and the market rolls over. So what is it now? Well, the Fed hasn't reversed yet, so it's still ahead. So is it the one or the other? But you know, maybe is it the same pattern? Are we looking for a market top when the Fed pivots, or is it like the 70s? We are in a bear market and the Fed is rising rates. How does that look historically? Bear market, and when first when the Fed pivots, we start to rally, and this repeats. A bear market rally, a bear market begins and it ends when the Fed pivots, and it repeats again. We have a bear market and it ends when the Fed pivots, and also in 74. And then we have 80, that's just a mess. And then we don't have any more bear markets where we are in a bear market and the Fed pivots, you know, because here it's the other way around. The Fed pivots and then we get the bear market. So, but here we are in a bear market and the Fed has not yet turned around. So it looks like this. So what happens in the new bull market? I see my this could be 2 videos. Yeah, look at this chart. It's just a mess, right? What is it? Where goes CPI in the new bull market? Let's focus on the blue ones here. We have a new bull market, and what I want to focus here on is the yellow line with the unemployment. So we have a new bull market that begins where the unemployment shoots up and gets pretty high, but not above this line. It's about 6%. So high unemployment and the CPI goes down. Then we have another bull market with very high unemployment and CPI goes down during the bull market. And again, all these blue ones, here we have very high unemployment. CPI, well, it's mostly flat, but it doesn't go up. And then we have 70, we have a bull market, again high unemployment but not above this line, so we have a bull market, CPI goes down. And again very high unemployment in 75, so we have a bull market, CPI goes down. And we have 82, extremely high unemployment, CPI goes down, we rally. And again, new bull market 84, very high unemployment, CPI goes down, we rally. Here I have put together 2 cycles. You know, this cycle low was hardly in a bear market. Anyway, pretty high unemployment during the whole bull market, and CPI dropping. So I have reached my 10 minutes limit, so I'll make a second video.